This
well. Okay.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So last class we were looking at different aspects of Azure DevOps in terms of organization settings and the configurations, because it would be more precise when we know the different aspects of organization settings. Okay. So I want one of you to go ahead and share the screen. Let me see if you have already created the organization. Well and good. We can go ahead and continue. If not, we'll let's start creating it and then continue with the session. Okay, and I want you to share the screen as well. Yeah, who is going to share the screen? Shrikant, I think you have audio issues, Shrikant. We are not able to hear you properly.
Okay, let me share my screen. Yes, right. So, can you allow me to share the screen? I, I think you require the permission.
Uh, oh, to share the screen, you guys require the permission, is what you mean to say, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let me check the settings. Yeah, I've given the presenter access to Shrikant. Let me do it for everyone. Oh, I think whoever has the presenter, they'll be able to present it, right? So now, should I give it to Shrikant or Avinash? Okay. Yeah, I'm able to see the screen. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Yes. Yeah, give Azure DevOps organization creation. No, no, that's the different link.
So, I opened yesterday,
Let
but
me
I'm
give you
not
the
sure.
link. Yeah, take this link. Okay, yes. So we are in the organization. Can we go to the organization settings and then we'll continue from there?
Okay, so you want to take control? Is it fine?
Sorry? No, I don't want to take the control. I'll be guiding you. You can go ahead and do the navigation as well.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead and create the project.
Yeah. So I'm creating project. Is it okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. I had some issues with the headphones. That's fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, let's go to Azure DevOps and see the organization settings. Click on Azure DevOps icon. About, yes, about test project.
Mm-hmm.
Just scroll down, you see the organization settings option. Like where you have your organizations created, right? Like your to organization, new organization. Below you have an option which is called as organization settings.
Okay. I can see project settings here.
Not the project settings. We are going to look at the organization settings. So I want you to go back to Azure DevOps and there you see the organization settings. Yeah, here in the same place where you saw the project settings. It's in the down. Yeah. Left hand side down.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why screen is not fully visible. Give me a second.
Okay.
Now for me here, no, in the screen share, I'm not able to see the whole screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm able to see it now. Okay. So yeah, we were looking at the general properties at the organization level. So let's go to the security. Go ahead and click on policies. Yes, after the Azure Active Directory, we have the policies, right? Yes. Yeah, so here this is like the policies that you can enable at the organization level, like whether you want to have or connect with a third-party application using OAuth configuration, or do you want to connect with third-party servers using SSH connection? Because we know that we are going to see much more about connecting for different servers using different tools like your Jenkins or Ansible or Terraform. So we will have to keep this enabled in order to have the connection with them. Okay, and also if you want to allow all the public projects, you can go ahead and enable that. And in case if you also want to invite the GitHub users, like right now, the users who are part of your organization are from your directory that you gave, right? So if you want to also invite the GitHub users, you can go ahead and select that policies option as well. Okay,
Okay.
so let's go to the permissions. Yes. Okay, so here these are the default Yeah, these are the default groups that are created in Azure DevOps. Okay, so the first group, which is the project collection administrator, is the super group. That means the member who belong to this group will have the super admin access. That means he can go ahead and perform all sort of operations in this organization. Okay, go ahead and click on project collection administrators. But make sure that you in an organization, in a production organization, not every member will be part of this group. Only the owners, or like your senior manager, senior manager, or product owner, like that. So only those people will have the access to be added to this project collection administrators group. Okay, so once you click on that, you can see that all the policies. So for the group, you will have the option to set the policies, to allow, deny, and not set. So as you can see that all these policies are grayed out. That means you cannot change anything, and it is allowed by default. That's where you mean to say that it is a super admin group. Okay, let's go to the members. In case if you want to see the members who belong to this particular group, click on members and you will see the members who belong to that group. Okay, and then let's go to member of, and the member of will be a subset of your project collection valid users, because what usually happens is this group will check whether that user belongs to this organization via your option where we had to add the user, right? So in the users option, we went ahead and added this user. So when we add the user, by default, they'll go ahead and add to this project collection valid users. Okay, and the people who belong to this valid groups only should be part of your collection administrators. Okay, so this is something internal to the Azure DevOps groups linking. Okay, let's go to the settings. So here, these are the general settings, but as this is not an editable group, all these are grayed out. But if you're creating a custom group and you want to set all these properties, you can go ahead and do that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, can we go back to the groups again to see the different other groups as well? Because this is one important group. Go to the permissions again. Yeah, you can even click on the / values are there, no? Like your organization name, settings, permissions, project collection administrator. You can click on permissions as well.
Okay, got it.
Yes. If you click on permissions, we'll go back to the groups. Okay, so that is one important group. Sorry.
No problem. Nothing.
Okay, yeah. Then we have a collection group for build administrators, because what usually happens is the main aspect of Azure DevOps is in Azure pipelines. So what happens is, if you want to define the group of members who should have access to all the pipelines as the build administrator, you can go ahead and add them to project collection build administrators, so that you don't have to add them at the project level, because we might have several projects in an organization. If you want to make them at the organizational level, so that they can go ahead and inherit the same access to all the project levels. Okay, and project collection build service accounts. So this is the account which will be used by your third party account. Okay, say for example, if you want to have like I think we must be knowing about the service account, like a group of users. If we want to give them a similar access, we usually give the functional account, right? So those kind of accounts, if you want to add it to the build category, you can go ahead and add those accounts to the project collection build service account. Okay, and then the collection proxy service accounts. So this can use based on the service that you are going to use. These are for the service account, which can be used as the proxy set whenever you are working with the teams, like which means whenever you're working with the projects. Okay, and then just scroll down. I think here the most important one would be project collection administrator, project collection build administrators, the service accounts, proxy service account, and the collection service account. is not mostly used until and unless we have a service account configuration and you are going to use a third-party service account to access your pipelines or any of the functionalities in Azure DevOps. Okay, so test service accounts means that you are giving access to the testing team. Okay, as we discussed, project collection valid users are the group of users who will be valid based on the addition that we are doing via users. Okay, just scroll down. We have the other groups as well. Okay, because these icons come in between in GoTo, so I'm not able to read it out. I think it's a security.
Jay.
Yes.
Hello, Jay. I have a doubt here. So you're saying about proxy service accounts.
Yes.
So whether the user will be within the cloud or out of the cloud, like on-premise, we can consider, because you are saying it as a
for the service account, is it?
Yeah, he's talking about the proxy service account.
Yes. So what usually happens is, see, if the user is not belonging to this organization, you want to have a connect of other users to this organization. If they are part of this organization, then you don't have to really worry because it will be under your project collection valid users. But if there is an account that you have to consume outside of this organization and you need to give the access for that account to perform few actions like your build actions or your proxy settings, because you want to use the on-premise solution as well. So in that case, these things will be valid.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So yes, security service group, it is for handling the security options. Okay. Next, if you want to create a new group at the organization level, that is also possible, like how we had created a group during the user access, right? So we had created a group rules there. That is also one option. But if you want to create a system group, like how you have your project collection administrators, in the same way, if you want to create a group, you can go ahead and use the new button, create this group, so that you can make use of this group members in your underlying projects that will be created in this organization. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So can we next go to the process? Yeah, this is about the permissions. Okay, so here is what we have to see a little bit about the process, because usually this process is usually called as your process template, and it might be required that you have to create different process templates for different projects based on the client needs. Okay, as we discussed, we are going to follow the agile template. So we have to make agile as the default. But when you create a new organization, basic is what is the set to default from the product perspective. Okay, but let's see what is the difference between basic, agile, scrum, and CMMI. It would be that only the way they put up their requirements or the usage of the terms would be different with respect to all these processes. Okay, so can we go ahead and click on basic? Yes, click on that. So in this process, you see the different work item types that is allowed for basic. Yeah. So if you see for basic, we have epic, issue, task, test case, test plan, test suite. We don't see anything called as user story or feature, right? Because this is how the basic template is defined. Okay. So same thing you can also view at the backlog levels. So can we go to the backlog levels? The next tab. Yes. Okay, so I will tell you what is the backlog level that the basic is following. So in basic, the epic come first, and then we have the requirement backlog as the issues, and then we have the iteration backlog. Then we have the other work items that you're going to like what is remaining, or if you are going to create a custom work item, that will also be counted here. Okay, you can map it here. Then let's go to the projects. I'll be showing you adding new work item types as well, but not now. Let's understand how to use the work item types, backlogs, and the boards. Then we can see the processes again, so that it will be more understandable than in the starting. Okay, yeah. If you see the projects, test project is being followed the basic template because basic was the default one, right? So that's the reason you're seeing the number of projects that is following this particular template. Okay, the process template. So let's go back to the all process and see the next process, which is called as agile. You can click here only, like basic, all process is there, right? So go ahead and click on all process. Yes, yeah, click on agile. See here, you can see the difference between the work item types as compared to basic and to agile, right? So here you see bug, epic, feature, issue, task, everything along with user stories and the testing functionalities representing work items as well, right? So can you go to the backlog levels? So these are the work item types you are allowed to use in agile process template, and the organization of your backlog items would be something like this. Okay, and if you click on projects, if any project is inheriting this process model, it will be displayed. For now, we don't have any other projects which is being followed with agile process. Okay, so let's go back to all process and see the Scrum one. So in Scrum, instead of user story, we used to call the work item as product backlog item, which is equal to requirements. Like even the user story is also used for recording the requirements. Product backlog item was also used to record your requirement. Okay, so these were the set of work items that were used in Scrum template. Okay, if you go to the backlog levels. So now I think you have better understanding about what is the methodology, what is the process, and the template that is different from all the processes that we have. Okay, so here also we follow epics and features in the top level, and then in the requirement backlog we have the product backlog item. Then product backlog item will have the tasks and so on. Okay, so let's go to all process. We are left with one more process which is there. That's CMMI, right? Go ahead and click on that.
Yeah.
Yes, so here earlier to all this process, we were following the change request model, right? So wherein you had change request, issue, review, risk, and all these work items to be tracked. Give me a second. Okay, so this is about different process that we have in Azure DevOps. Let us go back to Agile. I want to show you the overview of the project as well. Give me a second. Yes. Can we go to Agile? And if you want to make the different process as default, you can go ahead and click on 3 dots so that it will give you option to set the default process as well.
Okay, the
Yeah, that's
process
fine. We can see it when we go on. Sorry, Avinash.
Yeah. So the process means like the requirement which are provided by the user.
No. Process means the template, how it will be available for the user. Say, for example, going forward, we will be looking at the Azure backlogs, right? So whenever you go to the backlogs, what all items you can go ahead and create. So there, all these items would be appearing there. If you're selecting Agile, you will have user story, bug. If you want to create user story or bug or task, you can go ahead and create. If you're selecting basic, then only the selected one, which is under basic, will be available for you to go ahead and create, then use it for your development process.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So are these work items gonna track the details automatically, or we have to check it manually? I mean, like, how are we gonna use these things?
Yes, that I think we will be looking at Azure both so that you will understand it more quickly. Like if I start explaining about how Azure backlogs work or how do you create user story, it would like deviate from the topics that we wanted to cover. So in Azure backlogs, you will understand in more detail how to track it, how to record it. So this is like a pattern or a template that will be available for you. You have to enter the details as we used to do in older methods also. Like requirements, usually you get it from the client. But how will you record? Using Excel. But here, using user story, Epic feature is how you can go ahead and record it. Okay, we'll be seeing that in detail.
Okay.
Yeah. So fine. So here in the work item types, let's go ahead and click on user story. Yes. Yeah, click on user story. So here, yeah, this will open a form wherein it is usually called as layout. So this is the layout of user story. Okay. So whatever fields you're seeing here are available whenever you go ahead and create the user story. This is just to show you how is the background of the user story will look like and where does the background come from. Okay. We have a separate section wherein we cover this process template customization in detail because that is also part of this content. Okay, so for now let's understand that there is a process, and for that process you will have a skeleton, which is usually your layout, and whatever we add in that layout will be appearing for us in that particular work item. Okay, if you want to create a new field, new page, new group, you can come here and click on it. Right now it is disabled because Agile is not the default process, right? We have not made Agile as the default. That's the reason you're not able, like all the fields are not visible. It is grayed out. Okay, so can we go back to all process? Yeah, make Agile as default. Click on 3 dots. Yes, set as default process. Yes, so under Agile also you can go ahead and create a process. So let's go ahead and create one process for us. Okay, for all the demo. Yes, click on 3 dots. Yes, create inherited process. Name it as anything like demo Agile or something. Go ahead and create the process. Yes. So now demo Agile is done. Instead of keeping Agile as default, you can even keep demo Agile as default. So whenever next you are going to create the project, you would take this template as the default template. Okay. because this will be required whenever you have to deal with different clients for different projects. And it might be that your client one is okay with the basic agile template what is present, but client two wants something more based on their requirements. Say for example, right now we have in agile process you have the hierarchy level, but it does not cover a few other things where business wants, like your UI findings or UI suggestions or release, because we don't have a work item called release. In case if they want you to customize for that particular project which should not be affected to all the other projects which is present in the organization, you can go ahead and create a process here, change the process template here so that it would be satisfying the business requirements. Got it right? Hope it is not too much at this level. Let's get back so that we can discuss this in detail later also. Okay, so once we understand the background of why we are using this and all that, we can come back later here to see the enhancements. Okay, so now let's get back to the other option, the next option, which is called as agent pools. Okay, so here as you can see, this is under the subheading which is called as pipelines. That means all these settings would be needed for your pipelines whenever you are running pipeline. Okay, so what do you mean by agent pool? So agent pool means that you will have the number of systems or the number of servers that you want your application to run, right? So for any application that you are going to code or finish your build, everything, you want some system to test what you have done in your local, whether that works on a world wide web, right? So in website, if you want to see it, you have to deploy your solution to a server. So that collection of servers, maybe it might involve the database server, it might involve the web server, it might involve the application server. So to use all those servers, you can go ahead and create the agent pools. So agent pools is a group of machines which will help you to go ahead and run your pipeline. Okay, for this pipelines, because until and unless you go ahead and start creating the pipeline, you will not understand where we are going to use the agent pools. Okay, and in agent pools there are two options, like we saw when we were looking at the billing, right? So in billing we had self-hosted and the Microsoft hosted, right? So Microsoft hosted is Azure pipelines, self-hosted is default. Okay, so default means your server, like your server, whether it is created in Azure, AWS, or your physical server, you want to map that server and you want to run your pipelines in that server, then default you will have to use. Or if you're fine that you're going to use Azure pipelines, means the random server that gets created to execute your build, if that is fine, then we have to use Azure pipelines. But in most of the organizations, we have to use, like mostly we use Azure pipelines because we have the free services which is present from Microsoft's point of view. Once we finish all the quota that is given by Microsoft, then we can go ahead and use our self-hosted agents. That means we can use our servers to run the pipelines. Okay, yeah, let's go to the next one. Scroll down. Yes. Okay, so this is about if you want to few settings which is related to your pipelines. Okay, like if you want to have the anonymous access to badges, because badges means the message that you want to display based on the status of your pipelines. If you want to disable that to be appearing for anonymous users, then you can click this. And if you want to limit the variables, that you can set it during the queue time. And if you want to limit the job authorization scope to the current project. So these things we will look at it when we are actually seeing pipelines. Okay, for now you see that for the organization level you have the restrictions for these three aspects. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so what is this deployment pool, right? Because we have already seen agent pool where we had self-hosted and the Microsoft hosted, right? But this deployment pool is like the logical grouping of your machines. Okay, say for example, you might be dealing with several other projects, right? All the projects will be using a set of servers which may act as your web server, database server, application server, right? So in order to group that for your understanding, like I want to know the different servers which I'm working for one client. The other client also I want to know which are working for other client. It is like grouping of your servers so that it will be easier for you to go ahead and select while you are running your pipeline. Okay, so this is about the deployment pool. We will understand all these things when we are seeing the pipelines actually. Okay, yeah, let's go to the parallel jobs. So what do you understand by parallel jobs is that we can go ahead and run the pipelines in parallel also. Okay, not that once one pipeline is running, it doesn't wait for another pipeline to like start once this pipeline stops. It's not like that. You can go ahead and run different parallel pipelines also. Okay, so in case of you want to see the in progress jobs, like in progress pipelines which is running using Microsoft hosted agent one, or if you are having a self-hosted machine where you're opting your pipelines to run on self-hosted, if you want that, you can also see the different views here, okay, with respect to private projects and public projects as well. But for mostly we will be dealing with private projects only. Okay, so once we start seeing the pipeline, I'll come and show you here how you can see the in progress jobs. Right now we don't have any pipeline running, so even if you click on view in progress jobs, it would not show you any progress. Okay, yeah, can we go to the next one? Okay, so OAuth configurations will be used to validate the connection between the third-party vendors. Like if you're using the server, like if you're using a Jenkins server or Ansible server or Terraform server and you want to authenticate that server here, you can go ahead and use the OAuth configurations. And even this will be used for REST APIs, but very rarely, because it depends on if you want to integrate different other configurations in here. Like if you want to say, for example, in Azure DevOps, if you want to use quality tool, that is the Sonar, if you want to do that, you need to add the OAuth here. Okay. Let's wait for it to load. Go ahead and refresh it once. Yes, yeah, as the description suggests, the OAuth on configuration will be used whenever you want to like have an integration with other tools, and if you want to authenticate those configuration in Azure DevOps, because whenever you want to connect another server or any other tool with Azure DevOps, you need to have a authentication mechanism, right? So for that, OAuth will be useful. Let's go to the next one. So this is just like the overview that I want to show you guys where to see at the organization perspective. But whenever we are dealing with that particular topic, we will be coming back to this option and configuring it. Okay, yes. in the artifacts usage, you can see that these are the types of artifacts that we can use. Drops will be your drop down thing. That means whenever you go ahead and build your solution, what will be like, how do you want to put your output? Like if you want to put your output as a folder, which is usually a drop down folder, when you go ahead, say for example, you will have one folder. Inside that folder, you might have several other folders based on the components. So that's how your build will be present in terms of artifacts. So usually it is called as drops. And then if you want to keep it as symbols, like whenever you deal with the packages, you will be using the symbols. Or if you want to deal with the pipeline artifacts or the different packages that you can create with the feeds. Like feeds is like a repository that you would be creating to store all your artifacts. Okay, so we will be seeing in detail about this. So for now, you understand that the artifacts supported in Azure DevOps are npm, Python, NuGet, Ivy, Maven. So it covers almost all the packages which is dependent on the languages, like Maven for Java, Ivy for other languages, NuGet for C#, Python for Python language, npm for Node. And if there is any other languages like your Go language and all those languages, if you want to use the packages, you also have universal packages in place. Okay. Yeah, this is about the different organization settings that we have for the organization. Hope the overview how we are going to make use of organization at different aspects of the modules that we are going to use in Azure DevOps is fine now. So let's go to the Azure DevOps. Let's go to the projects and see the different aspects in projects and see one like all the modules one by one. I want, okay, before that, I want you to create one project which is following agile model, because test project as basic is the default one which comes whenever you're creating the organization. I want you to create one project which will follow the template that we created. Not the organization, I want you to create a project. No, this is the organization, Avinash.
Okay.
Sorry, Abhinav. Okay. Yeah, Avinash. Yeah, go ahead and click on plus new project, which is at your right hand side. Yes. Yeah, go ahead and create project. Okay, and in the advanced, yes, select the one which we created, demo.
Demo that.
Okay, did you create that?
Just a second.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, fine. So this is the project view. In case if you want to add the users to this project, you see that invite button. You can go ahead and add the users there as well to your right hand side above. Yeah, invite is there. Yes, you can add the users there where you want to add the users to the team. This is one way. There is another way also to add your users to the project.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yes,
only existing
so-
users we can add it, or we can add it anyone outside of the organization.
Sorry, could you please repeat? Your voice was breaking.
So users can be added to the existing one, or you can add anything like Gmail, Outlook. Anyone I can add it here.
Yes, yes, you can add the existing users, or if you want, you can even add the new users. But what happens is whenever you add a user who is not present in the organization, it gets added by default and a basic license is added. So you have to be careful because basic is the license which will be costing, right? So it would be a best practice if you first add the users to the organization using the users setting that we have already seen, then come here and add it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Let's go to the, okay. Before we go to the other stuff like your boards, repos, pipelines, I want you to understand the concept of area path and iteration path, because that is what is main thing here to understand. And also you need to understand how the teams you can create inside the project. Right now, this is a project wherein inside this project, you can have different teams. Like you can have a developer team, you can have a tester team, you can have a BA team, you can have a product owner team. Like that, you can have different teams. And if you want to make a subdivision, like say for example, in this project, you want to have a team called as A, wherein inside A, I need to have B and C. And then D will be a separate team. So inside D, I need to have E and F, which will be sub teams inside a team. So similarly, like the hierarchy where we have the program kind of understanding, right? So a program can have multiple teams in it. Similarly, we can have several programs within this project. Understood, right? So let's go ahead and understand that by creating different teams in this project. Okay, so for that, I want you to go to the project settings. Yeah, to your left hand side down, you see the project settings. Yes. So as we have seen the different configurations with respect to organization, these settings are with respect to the project. Okay, so most of the settings would be similar. So I would not go in detail. The project details will be same. The next one is teams. So let's go to the teams, because we have to understand the program management hierarchy. Yes, go to the teams. Yes, so right now you're able to see one team, because whenever you create a project, by default a team with the same name as the project gets created. Okay, so here let's go ahead and add 6 teams, wherein 2 teams will be creating with the name as program 1, program 2, team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and add teams. Yes, click on new team. Yeah, give it as program 1. Okay, yeah, you can add the members, like it's, yeah, you are the only user, right? So yes. No, it is telling there's some issue with the name, right? Okay, come down. I don't think it'll allow the members who are not part of the organization. Yeah, okay. Come down, go ahead and create, because you're already in the administrators group, right? So yeah. These administrators are team administrators, because we are going to create a new team. For that team, do you want to add them as an administrator? If you want to add them as administrator, because they will see all the capabilities, you can go ahead and add it. And then permissions, you just have to look at the permission, because you have different groups there. Yeah, let's see that whenever we are creating the next project, like next team.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Can we go to the teams? Yes. Yeah, let's add one more team. Name it as project 2, program 2, sorry. Yes, come down. So here under the permissions, okay, let's go to the new team. I just wanted to show you one more thing. Yeah, team 1. No, we'll create 2 programs. Under 2 programs, we will create 2 teams. Okay, so create team 1. Let's name it as team 1. Okay, come down. Yeah, here under permissions, you have groups, right? It is by default selected as contributors. But in case if you want to have a group with read-only access, just keep the permissions there, like keep the cursor there. You will have the option to even select the other groups as well. Yes, so you can have a group or team created only for build administrators, contributors, project administrators, readers. Contributors means usually they will have edit, read and write access. Readers only read access. Project administrators everything. Build administrators having access only to the builds. Okay, this is what I just want to show. Fine, let's go ahead and create it. But usually normally we need to have contributor access. Okay, yeah, go ahead and create.
Okay. You cannot change the permissions after creating the teams.
Yes.
Sorry. You cannot change the permissions after creating the teams.
I didn't get your question, Avinash, because it's breaking.
Okay.
His
Permissions can
query
be
is, can't
changed.
we change? Yeah, can't we change the permissions once the team is created?
You can change it later also.
Okay.
You just have to change the group there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Can we create the other 3 teams fast? Team 2, team 3, team 4.
Yeah, it's done.
So now all the teams are ready, but we need to make sure that the teams are falling in the order that we wanted, right? So for that, let's go to the project configuration. To your left hand side, you see project configuration. Yes. So here is what these 2 terms are important. So what does iteration mean is that iterations are the time span that you would give for a particular item. That means this item will belong to what time and it will be completed in what time, something like that. Okay, right now you see this project is having 3 iterations, iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, but for the iterations we don't have the timings yet, right? That means we have not set the dates. That means this iteration should belong from which date to which date. Can we go to that and click on set dates? Go to the iteration. Yeah, click on set dates. Give the start date as today only. Like usually, as discussed, iteration is a span of 10 days, right? So you can go ahead and click 28. Yeah. End date. Next month, 7th or something. Next month, 5th or 7th, anything. Yeah, that's fine. Save and close. Usually 10 days is followed, but there might be projects where they want to follow higher also. Okay, so this is how you can define that your iteration will be spanning for this much of dates. Okay, the next thing is areas. Let's go back to the areas. No, here only you see iteration and then areas in the next tab above. Yes, there. Go ahead and click on areas. No. Yes, right. So here under the areas, you see that everything is belonging to project 1, correct? But now what we need to make sure that a program 1 will have team 1, team 2, program 2 will have team 3. Okay, so for that we'll have to change the areas. So go ahead to program 2. Yes. Now click on 3 dots. Not, yeah. No, not here. Can you go back to the setting before? No, this is the team configuration. Team configuration is different. Project configuration is different. Yeah, to your left hand side, can you go to the project configuration? To your left hand side settings. Yeah, project configuration. Yes. Go to the areas. Yeah, there only where you clicked before, no areas. Yes, there itself. Yeah, click on 3 dots. Click on new child.
Okay.
Go ahead and click on the area name, like create a area name as team 4. Okay, so now we are seeing team 4 under program 2, right? We have to modify the team 1, team 2, team 3 to reflect, like team 3 to reflect under program 2, team 1, team 2 to reflect under program 1. Okay, so we have to change the configuration here. So can we go to team 3, 3 dots, edit. Yeah, here location. In the location, yes. We want team 3 to be present under program 2, correct? So click on program 2, save and close. So now your team 3, team 4 is under program 2, right? So same thing can we do for team 1 and team 2? Team 1, yes, edit. Put it under program 1. No, 3 dots you need to use. Yeah. And then edit, correct. Yeah. Location you change. Yeah, click on program. No, not, yeah, anything is fine. But I want you to add it under program 1 so that the hierarchy looks good as well. Yes, click on project 1. Yes,
Okay.
sorry, program 1. Okay, so something similar like this. Okay, right now team 2 is under project 1, but program 1 has team 4, program 2 has team 1 and team 3. Okay, and what is the advantage of doing this hierarchy is that if the program 1, because if I belong to program 1 or if I belong to program 2, the work items or anything that is performed, any operations that is being performed at team 1 and team 3, I should be able to see. That's what is the main intention of having programs, right?
Okay.
Okay, so when in case like going forward, whenever we create an item, that means a work item, say for example, user story. If we go ahead and create a user story in team 1, it will give you the hierarchy where team 1 belongs to. Like team 1 belongs from program 2, project 1, program 2, team 1. So the area path will be this hierarchy. The iteration path will be the iteration that we have just seen. That means iteration 1, 2, 3, right? So we will see that when we are actually creating the work item. Okay, but hope the iterations and area paths are clear. Area path is usually the address that you want to mention where your work items will be belonging to, means to which program, to which team, to which project. Iterations are telling you in which sprint or in which timeline this particular task has been executed or this particular task has been planned, whether it is task or user story or feature or epic, anything. Okay, hope this is clear, but we will be seeing this again in work item so that it will be more clear. Okay, so
Jayashree,
this is all. Yeah, Monica.
is this same as providing permissions?
Not providing permission. This is preparing your team, is what I would say.
And the iterations which has been created, is that applies to these teams and projects?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
But we would
And
see how this iteration will be applied to teams, because right now we are seeing the settings at project level. We are not applying the particular iteration to teams. So we will be seeing that tomorrow, like how your project configuration will be different from team configuration.
okay, so since the iteration span is 10 days, so again we have to expand, I mean like extend that, or it is gonna expire in 10 days?
You can extend, or if you are not extending, because this is a demo organization, if you're not even extending also, that is also fine. You can go ahead and assign the work items to the next iteration
Okay. Yeah,
based
got
on
it.
the dates that you will be giving.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, then we'll connect tomorrow. For today, this is all. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and continue with the team configuration, project configuration, and we will start the backlog items. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks
Uh,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.